All right. Hello, hello. Oh, now it works. Excellent. Oh, has it gone? What? Yep. Looks like it's working. Excellent. All right. Let's get to. Where's the? Oh, wait a minute. Have I? Let me present screen share. Hmm. That one. Why did it disappear? That's a bit weird. Okay. Hello. Welcome to Black Betterment Broadcast Show 115. I I believe so. So let's make that read screen. Excellent. Full size. Yes. Very nice. So, hello everyone, for anyone listening now and listening in the future time, this is your host, Rap Raven. This is the Black Bear Broadcast Show 15. All right, we've got a very, very interesting show this week. Hopefully, we can have some participants and all that good stuff. So, let's go through our normal scheduling if we can. So, this is the freestyle statements I recommend all people. If you're trying to help black people, I recommend these freestyle statements, and that is one, black people are collectively inadequate. Two, collectively black people have no friends. And three, constructive black man with constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. All right, you can unpack it a bit longer if you wish. Like, for example, you can say when it comes to working as a collective with only black people on matters that benefit black issues, black progression, and black ownership, black people are collectively inadequate. That sets up the statement very well. But if you just want to go straight to the point, let's read those three out and you're laughing, you're good, you're ready, you understand what the quest is. You know, you should. All right, cool. So 4D values, that's right. On this show, we practice 4D values. So discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. If you use those 4Ds, then that will make communicating very easy. Trust me. It's what I do, and I can let you know it's what you should do too if you wish to be constructive in what you're doing. All right, cool. Can using descriptive language instead of derogative language help black people? Okay, so what am I saying here? So let's try not to use our derogative terms, bad language. It's very, very important. I know it's hard sometimes. You know, you think, it's what I do, but maybe try not to. Try not to. And what is Black Bearman? Black Bearman is black people helping black people on black issues for Bearman. That's what it is. Now you know. All right. So Black Bearman is a lifestyle. That's right. This broadcast promotes the lifestyle of Black Bearman. Cool. Now all that's out the way. We will be showing some videos today, so just so you know, it isn't our stuff. It is we're just showing it for case study purposes. And if you get some time, please follow us on Black Betterment Building on Instagram. Tell a friend to tell a friend to be a friend. Yeah, but apart from that, let's go on to the three ten fantastic quotes that is today. Topics, I should say. How best to promote the black love within the community. We're going to be unpacking that, because black love is very important. And I feel that more so, I think black men should take lead in promoting that concept without question. Anti-blackness, okay, and also anti-blackness in the Americas. So we're going to be focusing. Our first videos will be from the Americas, and we'll do a part one. Might do a part two. We're going to show some anti-black stuff that's going on in the Americas historically and today. I don't think I. Oh, I did find that's good. Yeah. And what should anti-black racists need to do to apologize to black people for? Hold on. Does that even make sense? What should an anti-black racist need to do to apologize to black people for? There should be no for there, I don't think, right? Is that for from another quote? Hold on. What should an anti-black racist need to do to apologize to black people? That sounds like it's been cut. Tell you what, I'm gonna see if I can check what that is. Meanwhile, let us go and watch a video. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna start off. Let's start off with the. Let's start with the Dominican. So if you don't know, apparently they're telling. They're telling. What are they telling? They're telling black people apparently in America or around the world, I guess, if you're dark skinned, don't go to Dominican Republic because they might think you're an immigrant or maybe a Haitian and try to kick you out of the country or harm you. I'm not too sure what they're saying there. So we're going to look at the history of the behavior of the Dominicans to the Dominican Republicans to the Haitians. So let's watch that while I recorrect this intro stuff.
General Rafael Núñez.
Rewind.
A wall to divide the Caribbean island of Hispaniola. It's designed to separate the Dominican Republic from Haiti. Dominican General Rafael Núñez says the wall will play a crucial role in protecting his country against contraband and illegal immigration.
Over there, you can see where the first stage ends that involved this part of the country of the perimeter wall that we are building.
Haiti is in turmoil, and thousands are desperate to escape gang-related violence and hunger. the Dominican Republic is trying to prevent refugees from entering the country and has deported over 50,000 Haitians in the past 5 months. General Frank Cabrera says the Dominican government is simply not equipped to offer refuge to so many needy people.
We share a border with one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. Haiti is in the middle of a political, economic and social crisis. Some say that 60% is controlled by armed non-state actors or gangs. Imagine a country that is controlled by gangs. We allow Haitians to cross and get supplies, but cannot do much more.
And that's why for many, this wall is necessary.
This is what the fence is going to look like. It's going to be about 4 meters tall, and in some areas where there's like more population, it's going to have metal bars. And in rural areas, it's going to look much more like this type, because the risks of people trying to cross over are smaller.
The wall is being built mostly by Haitian workers here in the country legally, who represent some of the Dominican Republic's cheap labor force.
Very interesting dynamic. They've hired Haitian immigrant workers to build a wall to keep out Haitians. Very interesting.
The wall is expected to cover 164 kilometers of the almost 400 that divide both countries.
Yeah.
But in Haiti, people say it won't stop them from crossing over and over again.
We're here living on an island and they're trying to stop migrants from crossing. But you can't really stop this phenomenon. It's going to happen. Even if they deport people, this will continue to happen. There has to be a change here in Haiti. This is what's needed.
Promoting stability in Haiti is a stated priority for countries in the region. But so far, most attempts have failed. Human rights groups say the wall is a misguided use of resources that will further militarize the area and only push people to take greater risks to escape. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Dajabon, at the Haitian-Dominican border.
All right. Let me just, this thing keeps messing me around. Let me just put the question mark there. Give me 14 seconds, family. All right. So, hold on. Give me 17 seconds just to go save as. Number 15, underscore. So knowing this happens and done, I believe. Right. Yeah. So, what you're seeing there. So basically, they're taking money and building a wall. I mean, all over the world, they've always built walls to keep people out. They're trying to keep the Haitians out. Historically, maybe I should have got more documents about that. There has been a lot of anti-black racism towards the Haitians on the island. And obviously, you have, what is that? There's a quote, I can't read it properly. And it's to keeping the racial whitening. Hold on. There's a Spanish word. And it's a Spanish word for keeping the race white. And racial whitening. And, oh, come on, don't change to racial whitening. Hold on. There you go. Flipping hell, man. Yeah, come on. Anyway, I found it. There it is. I can't even read that. It's a Blackimentio. Am I saying that right? Let me type that word in there for you guys. Blackimentio. I'm probably saying it I'm probably butchering the word, showing me twice. But all this kind of stuff of not preserving the race, but bettering the race. That's a better word. Yeah. Bettering the race. Improve the race is what it means, if you don't know. And this is the concept of, anytime you have black people and white people, try to have them have white partners so that their offspring is light, and then try to have those offspring white, so eventually they become white. In Cuba this happened, and in plus recruiting more Europeans to come and stay in those places. Very heavily done in the Spanish-speaking countries. This is the culture. We have to have philosophies to definitely reverse this concept. This is not a good idea for black people to try to not exist. Also, the whole economic stuff where it's like, you do something, it gets inherited by a light-skinned person, and they get to a white person. And before you know, all the stuff you're building ends up back into the European community. We preach about that here, just things to be aware of. So, but to see more about that particular thing, let's have a sneak peek at a documentary. Let's go. Rewind.
This is one of the first free black towns in the Americas, San Basilio de Palenque, Colombia. Listen to the drums, explore the murals, and study the dancing. It was founded around 1603 by self-liberated Africans who escaped from the slave ports of Cartagena, Colombia. Spanish colonizers relentlessly tried to destroy this town, but centuries later, it's still standing. And this is the only Black president Colombia has had. They purposely erased him from history books. Government officials even sent his official presidential portrait to Paris to whiten his appearance. You may not have expected to find stories like these in Latin America. See, the dominant narrative is that racism doesn't exist in the region, just class issues. And I'm here to tell you that is a lie.
Pero es que no hay negros en la Argentina.
Por la forma que...
It's a very convenient cop-out
for
Latin America.
They showed if I was listening, they showed a scene in some, I assume Colombia or somewhere. I don't know. Oh, Argentina, showing me. And I think some Argentinian individual said there are no Black Argentinians, and then the camera panned to Black Argentinians looking disappointed in the crowd. So that's what you missed there.
And for Latinos, Latinas to say, well, it's not as bad as the U.S., and they're right. It's worse.
This is a story about Latin America's long and brutal history of erasing and silencing Black populations and its ploy to whiten society. Here's the thing. Anti-Blackness is so deeply ingrained in the Latin American region that it's often ignored or defended. Like in the case of Dominican baseball player Sammy Sosa, who downplayed using a bleaching cream that whitened his skin. From Peruvian newspapers using 159 different racist adjectives to describe African-descended people, to terms of endearment like mi negrita, which actually stem from the idea of people as property, to blackface, used as a form of entertainment. It's all part of a slew of everyday racism. There is plenty of evidence showing that racism is rampant in Latin America, but many Latin Americans have evaded accountability by treating racism as solely a U.S. problem. Unlike the U.S., where racism was upheld by legal separation like Jim Crow laws,
You're not a Texan if you're not for segregation.
Countries including Colombia, Mexico, and Brazil encouraged the mixing of different racial types, known in Spanish as mestizaje. As a result, this ideology of mixing has been used for centuries to deny the presence of Black and Indigenous people throughout the region.
This idea that everyone is mixed also has been completely overblown because Latin America is not unique in its mixedness, but that has been the mantle that it has taken upon itself so that you can evade accountability. How can we be racist if we're all mixed? Well, you certainly found very many ways to be.
Meet Dash Harris Machado. She's Panamanian American and the producer of Negro, a docuseries about Latino identity.
We all know those sayings. You're treating me like a Black person. Trabajar como un negro, working like a Black person. Don't marry a Black person. Come on. Be serious again. And everybody knows these sayings. This is every single last country. Like, stop playing with us. Stop playing in our faces.
To understand how deep anti-Blackness runs in the region, let's go back a couple of centuries, starting with the wars of independence from Spain for the region now known as Latin America. Meet Simón Bolívar. He's considered the great liberator of Latin America. But he wouldn't have liberated anything if it wasn't for the help of Haiti, where a rebellion by enslaved Africans created the only free republic in Latin America and the Caribbean at the time. Haitian President Alexandre Pétion agreed to help Bolívar on his quest for liberation under one condition. If Bolívar won, he had to abolish slavery and the new republic he was fighting for. Bolívar agreed, and a few years later, he defeated Spain throughout South America and declared himself president of present-day Colombia, Venezuela, Panama, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. Around 60% of soldiers who fought for Bolívar were Black, but Bolívar betrayed them. His promise to completely abolish slavery was a lie.
Very important. Remember these kind of deals that they're never honored.
He even complained that Black soldiers were audacious to want absolute equality. They had to wait 40 years after the war to gain their freedom. Bolivar and many other white elites feared that they would eventually be outnumbered by black and indigenous people.
That's always been a fear in that kind of end of the world. That's why they will try to introduce new higher populations of Europeans.
So he maintained Latin America's colonial, racial, and class hierarchy to keep control among the white elites. Bolivar believed in liberation, but only for some.
Whites will not give up anything to black people, or in general, unless it benefits them more. We're talking about a definite racial and social stratification.
Also, family, I've posted the link in the forum, so if you wish to join the chat, click and we can.
That was the foundation of the region and in which the region still adheres to. Nothing has changed.
Anti-blackness was baked into the foundation of the region, but that anti-blackness didn't stop with Bolivar. See, the emancipation of slavery was a threat to the social hierarchy in Latin America, so white elites came up with a plan to systemically, physically, and culturally wipe out black people. How did the region do it? Mass white European immigration, while banning the immigration of non-whites. Welcome to the Blancamiento and Branqueamiento period, which literally mean to whiten. The goal was for future generations to no longer have visibly black and indigenous people, so that the national identities in these new nations would be associated with whiteness. In this period, elites aimed to make black people disappear through their gradual absorption into the white race. Over 10 million.
So remember what we're saying here, historically and today, whatever. But the goal in America, and maybe England to an extent as well, was to separate like bad miscegenation laws so that black people couldn't mate and get into white society, whatever. But in these laws, in South America and Australia and some of these other places, they had a very different attitude. What they wanted to do was actually have black people have children with lower class white people, and then eventually just eradicate the black phenotype, the black individual, the black, black people, right? So just know that's what it is. So remember we're talking about black love and how to promote it and stuff. I think there's definitely a way in that to say that historically the people who despise black people had a plan to destroy you, and that plan was for you to not be with your own women. So just keep that in mind. We'll make a list of that as we move on.
Million European immigrants settled in Latin America between 1880 and 1930, with 90% of them going to Argentina, Uruguay, Cuba, and Brazil. Brazil even went as far as to pay for transportation costs from Europe and passed a law making European immigrants automatic citizens as soon as they arrived. European immigrants were given preference over black people in jobs, housing, and education, and the impacts of this are still felt today.
Oh, well, the name of the show, the only reason to identify as black is to practice black betterment. That shouldn't be the name of the show, although it's a good, true statement. We'll update that. Sorry about that.
Today, over 78% of Afro-Brazilians live below the poverty line. There have been many attempts to resist the relentless oppression of black people in Latin America. In Brazil, the unified black movement has challenged racial and class discrimination since the 70s. And in Colombia, Francia Marquez has led the battle for Afro-Colombian land rights since she was 15. She gave a voice to people who didn't feel represented by the white elites who ruled Colombia for centuries. And in 2022, she was elected Colombia's first black vice president.
Después de 214 años, logramos un gobierno del pueblo, el gobierno de los nadies y las nadies de Colombia.
So the policies aimed at erasing black people from society failed, but they successfully created many obstacles that prevented Afro-descendants from accessing land, education, and the labor market. And that's why you can't talk about the current conditions of black people in Latin America without acknowledging the centuries of discrimination, racism, and oppression. Dash says that in order for anti-blackness to be dismantled, people have to give up power.
Our power needs to be seized. Because we're talking about lived and material conditions when we're talking about anti-blackness. It's not just simply someone not liking me because they are anti-black. We're talking about systems that decide people's life and if you will even have a life.
This means it's not just about acknowledging and celebrating Black people's contributions in Latin America during festivals or national holidays, but about reparations and setting up systems that actually benefit Black communities.
It's about repair.
And I think this is sound good there. Let me take that back. What you say?
That decide people's life and if you will even have a life.
This means it's not just about acknowledging and celebrating Black people's contributions in Latin America during festivals or national holidays, but about reparations and setting up systems that actually benefit Black communities.
So once again, the reparations is something that has to be done, but the set up institution stuff, that's something I recommend Black people take full control of if possible.
It's about repair and transformation. And it cannot be up to the same people who benefit from my subjugation.
Despite these challenges, Black people throughout Latin America continue to fight for equality. And just like San Basilio de Palenque, Black communities are still standing.
All right, there you go. Whoa. Excellent, fantastico. Right, cool. Let's go back. So, did I update it or did I not? Hold on. I did, but let me put the question mark here. Oh, stop showing me that, please. Did it not work? Hold on. I swear I did. Okay, save as. There's a thing there. Oh, wait, forget the question. I can't remember anymore. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. So basically we're looking at the anti-blackness in the Americas. So we start with Dominican Republic and Colombia. That was motivated because at the moment people are being warned not to go to Dominican Republic if you're dark-skinned, because you'll be promoted. You know, they will assume you're, a foreign or immigrant. I guess I don't know what alien immigrant. I don't know what the terms they use. So yeah, but then we just expand that there is anti-blackness in Dominican Republic. Always has been, but that isn't unique to Dominican Republic as it pertains to the Spanish-speaking world or the Hispanic world, how to describe it. That baked in the culture of the Spanish and the history is anti-blackness, is not wanting Black people to exist or thrive or have any kind of control. So in the culture, the lifestyle that is, and that's why we say that Black Betterment is a lifestyle. So I think what you're seeing how a lifestyle destroyed Black people. So this broadcast is promoting a lifestyle that saves Black people. That's right. So funny enough, maybe in this document, let me go back to the magazine. No, that's not the magazine, is it? That's the magazine. So why is it not scrolling? Am I on the wrong one? Is it just me? Is it not scrolling? What am I looking at? Maybe it's this one. This big up brother Cal. Big up brother Cal.
Big up brother Raven. Big up.
I can't seem to find. Oh, here it is. No, let me close this down. That's why my machine's acting crazy. I've got lots of videos open. All right, so here we go. PDF. There it is. Makes sense. Right, yeah. So just so you know what we're dealing with this week, the three topics are how best to promote Black love within the community. Right. What I'm trying to do, I've been out debating on Clubhouse. I haven't set up the channel yet, but I've been jumping on other channels. Yeah. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to analyze how Black people speak publicly and find solutions so when there's confusion, but also how clever ways to promote Black love. And I think from a brand and marketing standpoint, using anti-Black racism can obviously be a way to promote in the sense of throughout the entire of the Spanish-speaking American countries. Baked in their culture is this concept of, I say it wrong, Black Mentino. I know I'm saying it terribly wrong. Right. And it means, it literally means improve the race And the process is you improve the race by marrying a white person, and then your children marrying a white person, that kind of stuff. So what we could do is we could use that was clearly a way to genetically destroy black people, but also economically destroy black people, and say the solution to that is, racial blackness, I guess, or black betterment. I think I even had a document. I put it. I remember writing it at some point. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment, writing that in. How to use anti-black racism as in. So what we're trying to do, I guess, is we're trying to say that not only is it, a constructed black man, constructed black woman makes a constructed black family, but also there is a history of anti-blackness that is baked in to you not being with someone, a black woman, black man, whatever. So, are you aware of this? And we obviously did this in the past where we broke down racial whitening is an ideology used as the solution to the Negro problem. Racial whitening encompasses the perception of individuals as being white in relation to their position in the class system. So that's saying that white people are the top class. So that remember that at the top. Supporters of the whitening ideology believe that the Negro race would achieve cultural and genetical. Is that word genetical?
Yeah, genetical. Yeah.
Yeah, genetical, or even disappear totally within several generations of mixed breeding between white people and black people. The ideology inserts the belief that the white Aryan race was superior to all other cultures and would inevitably whiten the inferior race's blood. Racial whitening is also a process used to control non-white indigenous people's economic ownership. So that was the breakdown of racial whitening that was practiced. And obviously we then had to invent what racial blackening would be. And that is used as a solution to anti-blackness, black inferiority, and collective black inadequacies and colorism. Racial blackening contributes to the black economic wealth and black culture ownership. Racial blackening is used to promote unity among all black people collectively. Racial blackening is one of the first steps in practicing constructive black love and constructive black family. So we have a rival term from racial whitening, that's racial blackening, right? That's a marketing concept. But obviously, the way we write it is actually constructively positive towards black people finding black love and black economics. So that was the idea there. And I've gone so far up. So we watched two videos that was talking about the history of anti-blackness in the Americas and stuff. And then also, I didn't tackle it, funny enough, but it is, I guess, connected. In America, there's an NFL manager, and it's just come out that there's pictures of him. I've got it here, pictures of him as a 15-year-old trying to block black students from learning because before they're integrating black people. So there's pictures of him and some other white guys like trying to chase them away or whatever. And obviously he owns a team, and it's this kind of feel like when Kaepernick obviously. Didn't bend the knee for black people being murdered. He couldn't find a job. So you're seeing connection why that is. And then also something I wanted to also show is in England today, they bend the knee, but they bend the knee for equality and freedom. And I think I could be wrong, right? It looks like it's more used for the LGBT because in Qatar, the LGBT are not allowed to practice same gender kissing or whatever in public or something like this. And they don't. But because of the rights issue, I think they're using that. But I think they're showing that once again, things started for black people or black people being murdered can easily be used more freely and more comfortably once you start including LGBT, non-black people, that kind of stuff. And then what we started last week. What should the anti-black racists need to do to apologize to black people for practicing racism? And that connects obviously that guy was practicing racism in the 50s as a kid, but there is no deadline on racism. So we were making a list last week of what should be done if just like the basketball player Ivy, I say his name wrong, but he had to do a list of things to get his job back or whatever. What is a list of things that we did? I think last week we were coming up with some ideas. So that's the update.
Yeah. Definitely. I do like. There was a time where you was mentioning the era prone module, and that should definitely come back.
Yeah.
Highlighting the hazards. You know, if we look at it in you know, the hazard perception that module is that every time there's a hazard in regards to whitening, then the black community automatically goes on red bar, and there should be something to highlight. This is racial whitening, you know, and then equals no economics.
Yes.
Oh, interracial relationship, white, you know, racial whitening equals, you know, no black family, something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm writing this down. This is good. I need
You
to
know, especially because I've started something as well, Brother Raven. Big up to you. Anytime there is an African descendant who's unsynchronized and they're pro-tribe,
yes,
and they decide to pick and choose a tribe culture, right? Automatically, I go, this is misappropriating another African tribe, you know, and it stopped them in their tracks straight away.
Right.
And then they start saying things like, well, it's all from Africa, you know, but no, remember, you're pro-tribe. You see, Black Betterment Collective, you know, we know each other's tribe, but we share each other's culture, but you're pro-tribe. Yes. So automatically it's misappropriation, and it stops them in their track. Right. So slogans like that to put a full stop on, okay, but this is misappropriating another African descendants tribe. And most definitely with this, something, oh, this is racial whitening. It leads to this.
Yes.
And you'll be surprised how it stops them in their tracks. Oh, yeah. Interracial relationship, all due respect here, this is racial whitening. How? What leads to that? The moment you emphasize the tonality and strike it as though it's some form of you know, like you remember the cartoons when a light bulb comes?
Yeah.
You know, like that already, and that it makes you kind of think, oh, and then that's when you can explain it. Whoa, this is racial whitening. What's racial whitening? Well, leads to black community and red bar. This is racial whitening. You know,
good.
Something like
so
that.
One other thing I've been doing as well is, because obviously you know that are we black? Are we African? Are blacks African? Is this black? Is you black? Is a light skinned person black? Is a biracial person black? This is an argument that we're going to hear forever and a day. And usually, you know, people who don't have solutions, this is what really interests them, whatever. But what slogan I'm going to be pushing now is obviously purpose-based slogans, and one of them is the only reason to identify as black is to practice black betterment. You see. So because what happens? We go, oh, what is black? Is that aren't we African? And when you say African, they'll start talking about North Africa and this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know, it becomes very circularized, and because these are non-solutionists. So what we say is, we use the term black because we only identify black to practice black betterment. And what is black betterment? Black people have black people and black issues.
That's right.
Yeah, you give purpose, and also I know. The thing is, and I'm saying that I'm going to unpack more in the future times as well. There is a value in delineating, and in the sense of, like, what will happen is people will try to. You don't want someone to blame an unsynchronized person on their nation and then blame the nation. So you make it very clear that every single black tribe, every single black nation, there are two types of people, isn't it? They are the synchronized and unsynchronized. Right?
That's right.
And you know, we work with the synchronized, and we offer a door for the unsynchronized to become synchronized to come through, right? But we won't judge an entire nation by the shortcomings of the unsynchronized.
That's right.
So and that's something that is very important. But at the same token, when you're preaching, a lot of people feel that I gave this model last week, and I'll give it again. The two types of employment, where you have the multimedia way of the multi-marketing employment, and then the job way of employment. And people think that when you start talking to the collective, that you're begging everyone to take their time to help black people, and then they have a kickback because of that. And it's more saying, no, we're not begging. We want the most qualified, best people to dedicate. Yeah, we don't want everybody, right? And part of being dedicated is understanding why Black life is important, Black economics is important, and there is no debate about that, right? So that way you make it like you're joining the club. So the term I'm using as well is open door elitist. And what I mean by open door elitist is historically elitism has been a problem in every single place, because you get a particular group, they do things for themselves, they get all the wealth, and then the poor or the disenfranchised can't really get there at all, and that's what we know as elitism. However, I'm saying that elitism should be the best people who are dedicated doing the work. So anyone can do that, but you have to be committed. And unfortunately, commitment is one of the biggest challenges that the Black community go through, right? So by having a word like open door elitism, which I've been using quite regularly, that starts that conversation. So I do identify as an open door elitist, and there is no room for a person to be jealous, because if you really wanted to be one as well, you could. This isn't, but this is not about biology. It's not about economics. It's not about being 7'2", whatever. It literally is the people who put the work in and stay synchronized are within the elite group. You see, they add value to the collective. So this is the talk of tactics. Because obviously I'm jumping on Clubhouse, and with Clubhouse is a very different beast, because there's hundreds of people shouting and screaming, and you need to get order straight away. So you need quick words to get order, and then quick words to justify it, and then leave them speechless unless they're going to be synchronized. That's what I recommend if you're going to jump on that.
Also, as well, Brother Raven, when it comes to the non-Africans, there needs to be a word to start them in the track. I always use the word method acting.
Yeah, good. Very good. Well done. That's a good one.
To highlight. So whenever anything, whenever they practice unethical code of conduct, in a form of trickery, it's method acting. If they're acting like any African descendant to lead towards their agenda, it's method acting. And once you do say that, you'll be able to identify the political analysis, what they're doing, and it stops them in their track. Also, well, unethical code of conduct, we know what that is, racism, but politicizing it. And obviously synchronized, big up to you, King. And the next thing would be is to tackle how to make racial whitening a hazard and explain. And we just spoke about that. I believe, as I said, I'm going to repeat myself again, it should be something something to stop in the tracks. This is racial whitening. So if we can have anything on that, King, and then we can just explain it. You did come up with something which is amazing, which I do use, big up to you, is the analogy of Beethoven, with him, his mother and his father, and then their descendants. And I noticed
you're talking about not Beethoven, what's his name? It's the same process, I guess. But the guy who did the Three Musketeers. I should really
I can't remember his name, but
let's see if I can find it. Pushkin. His name's Pushkin. So Alexander Dumas. I'll put a thing in there. His dad was the general of France, around about the same time that Overture was doing his thing, around about the same time.
Right.
And but his mum was an enslaved Congolese woman. So the slave was with the man. Then he had the son. That son married a black person. That son then with the Three Musketeers, she married a black person. And today you can see their family with all the wealth that the book generated in France somewhere, and they'd fenced and all this kind of stuff, right? So definitely,
most definitely. So anytime someone, as you know, is on synchronized, we believe in interracial relationship. Hold on, this is racial whitening. Why is it racial whitening? Well, Alexander Pushkin or Beethoven, and you can explain it that way. And then you can use other modern day and examples. Also, our melanin is not to be given voluntarily. It has a price, and it should be given to the black woman or the black man. So yeah, things like that, man.
So I'm just seeing if old shows. I'm trying to think of if I had. I wonder how far back it goes. Osmosis. Who's checking it? I need to really collect because some of these I got rid of. No, it's not that one. Oh, maybe it might be. So we did one on Michael Jack. I don't know if I don't know if the screen can see my screen. Oh, it can. Look at that. So this is interesting. So some of the past ones we were breaking down using Michael Jack case study, and we were showing the difference between the black and white video and the Remember the Time. It was like broke it down like, look, in the black and white video, it's about everyone's love, but the people that was the stars in it was white celebrities. The producer was a white guy. The director was a white Jewish brother. But in the rest of the day, the stars were black people. The director was John Singleton, produced by Ted Riley. And then obviously they got the black Egyptian theme, was a very important.
Yeah. Good analysis. Analogy that is,
Yeah, and then we used it here as in like Michael. Michael Jackson, black, white wives, children. They own the resources. Racial whitening definitely could be like we'll have to like really break down what that is, and like racial whitening was something used to destroy black people and keep the economics of black people, and you kind of need to be aware of it. Like, and one other thing I was doing as well is I tell people I'm never going to challenge or non-challenge or debate a black person. Or let the brother in the spring. I'm never going to challenge them if they utter these words. And these are the words that so for me not to challenge them, they have to say, I'm a black man and I don't want a black family. That's why, if you can say that, then I won't, because you've made it clear. But we always assume that you want a black family. But now you've made it clear you don't, we can move on, right? But have the black man, because when they say, because what tends to happen is historically, unfortunately, by biracial children or so-called biracial children existing as it does, it allows the black man to say, well, I've made black children, so I've done my job. So you don't. So you never want to undermine the children because they're innocent people in this. So you say, no, but the children, we're going to leave it before the children to have a black family takes a black wife. So you've actually missed the goalpost, haven't you, mate? You've picked a non-black wife, so you can't. You no longer have a black family. It doesn't count anymore.
Right.
That's what
I understand.
So that's the kind of that's the logic of thinking. So have the black man say, I'm a black man and I don't want a black family, and then go, we can now move forward.
Yeah, most definitely. And also that how you doing, Elder? Big up, Elder. Big up.
Greetings.
Yeah. Oh, we're just looking for some stuff, but carry on speaking. Sorry, guy.
Yeah, I do like that other catchy phrase you always say as well, man. Family in genetics.
Oh yes.
Not family in ethics. That's very good. That is, man. That's I commend you for that, man. It's very powerful. I have used it, to be honest with you.
Keep using it. The goal is to create words and language that's easy to use, but resets black people's minds. So because what you're going to find, time wasting is the greatest weapon of the anti-blackness, right? Because what will happen is you go into a forum, you have 1 hour, you might be talking to someone, and they'll waste your time with things that have nothing to do with anything. So you have to quickly break through that with quick words to get back to what you're talking about.
Definitely. So what is that phrase? Genetics. I like the way the two words together. Genetics and
so
ethics.
I've got it here. Let me get it on the screen. So if you're talking to another man, you're my brother in genetics, but not my brother in ethics. And what that means is we're trying to promote Black Betterment. You're trying to promote something else.
Right.
So even if you're my brother, we just have different views.
Right. Yeah, it's nice and catchy actually.
Yeah.
They should bring that in a rap tune.
Yeah,
I've been using it a lot. It's very because obviously I've always told our people anything that I invent, it's for them. On ethical code of conduct, method acting, it's our words. It doesn't belong to me. But I've definitely used the Black Betterment tactic. You know, yeah, we're
Right.
family in genetics, but just not family in ethics, and it's very, very powerful.
Yeah. But that's the idea of this show. Like, how can we come up with ideas to make helping black people easier? You see, you know what I mean? And language. This is a lifestyle we're promoting. And one other thing I want to highlight as well is in the video we showed, where across the board from North to South America, every single European and black person knew that by marrying a white person and not a black person, you're improving the race, right?
Yeah.
So what that shows you is that that's the lifestyle. They have created a lifestyle where it makes sense that when you want to find a partner, you must, if you're black, you must find a white one. If you're rich and wealthy, you must definitely find a white one, right? And that's why when you look at all the black Brazilians, all the black Dominicans, whoever it might be, whenever they get rich and famous, they will always go for a white person. And obviously their kids will then go for a white person. And that's given us the concept that we're talking about now, which about the concept of losing your economics, like that Brother Pushkin and Dumi, it was because obviously your economics is now going to a different people group. But
Also as well, Brother Raven, you could add that the racial whitening, not only does it sever your economics, but your identity. And the example is that wherever black people settled first, due to the racial whitening, is that the goal of the racial whitening can now eliminate and deny your access that you existed in these lands because they have the power.
Well,
that's something very powerful.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with, and the perfect case study was the Aborigines in Australia. Very good case study because you see that all the blonde hair, blue eye Aborigines are getting the jobs and this kind of stuff, while unfortunately the dark skinned Aborigines are alcoholic on the reservation, on the camps, whatever, and I'm not getting the work. And I'm not. I think here we go. I found the document. I should try to bring this one back. So this is what we were saying about. So here we have the enslaved African woman, Mary, and she married a European. Well, not married. She was forced to be for a European. Then they had a son who then became Thomas Alexander, and he was apparently one of the greatest generals in French history, if not the. So they say, right? But then he married a white woman, of course. And then this is his son. His son is defined as a quadroon. And with his son, he wrote The Three Musketeers. Very, very successful book. One of the most successful books in that kind of genre. Made his family himself a lot of money. And then he had his son, who I don't know if his son was some kind of son. I should write down what they do underneath as well. But anyway, you see his son then marries another white woman, and what I've used here by black, mulatto, quadroon, octoroon. This was the process used to take away rights and that from black people. So you can say, okay, by this point, you have a white person and they get the full rules of the law. But anything accrued to black people, they can claim.
Yeah, that's right.
You see? So this is the thing. I should bring this back. This is really good.
It's very important because, as I said, a lot of us are very educated in our history, but still unsynchronized. So you can always say, what you see, the amount of times you're explaining that we were in Egypt first, but then look, you know, if you don't mix with the black woman, then guess what? You're going to be crying that people are saying that you're not original Egyptians, you know. So we can always use these things against the unsynchronized Africans to wake them up. You know, that you won't need to be in a situation if you stick with the black woman or the black man. Why? Because Egypt is no longer black anymore. It's white. See?
Because we're starting the Black Love season, whatever, and that's what. This was good stuff. This was
very good material, man. Very good.
Yeah, and this we very good. I use this here as the I artwork this in. So this is the famous.
Oh yeah, look at that. Very good.
Yeah. This is the famous picture they used to promote why black people shouldn't be with each other. And obviously at the time, the prince, Prince Harry, whatever, married I forgot her name, the American actress lady, and we were showing that's good symbolic things here.
Yeah.
It's not bad, is it?
It
Yeah, should
matches
bring it.
neatly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that. So
Mm.
maybe I'll find a doc and update and put it in the latest ones, whatever. But yeah, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
Also, Brother Raven, it would be good if you could set homework for the audiences as well
Yes.
to get them, because as I said many times, brother, this show as well as the PDF, brother, it's based on political science and it's very effective. Because not only do I use what I learned was young, I use the Black Betterment, and it definitely works. So getting us to do homework and memorizing and actually using it can formulate more supporters of their liberation and their security for their people. Because at the end of the day, it's for your security as well as mine, you know. So yeah, man.
Well, the thing is, we kind of did that last week, and we can do it this week as well, in the sense of this way. Everyone who's listening now, who listens in the future when the show's not live, there is that question: what should the anti-black racists need to do to apologize to black people for practicing racism? And just for those who are just joining now, what that is recently, obviously, there was a basketball player who pointed his Twitter to a what they describe as a anti-Semitic video, apparently. And he had to then do a list of things that he had to do to apologize to the Jewish community. But now there's a European white guy who's was practicing racism in the 50s, and it's just come out, but he owns an NFL football team. So the question is, what should he have to do? What should he have to do to apologize to black people? And I do remember last week we said part of it should be dedicating a certain percentage of money, whatever it is, to a Black Betterment cause. A cause that is just for black people, and that is something that maybe we as a community can set up, like actual Black Betterment causes. Like, okay, what do we need? If we need a bank, if we need an app, if we need you name it, right? We set that up, and then that money you give goes to there.
Right.
An entity. But what would be the name of that entity? Because it's naming the entity is very important. I had a big discussion about that today.
Black Betterment Bank or something. The Betterment Fund or something. I know we have to.
Well, Brother Raven definitely has to let us know that because of their you know, unruly, animalistic, inhumane mindset, they have been put on a penalty and a punishment to put their money in there. If there's no form of punishment assigned to the African descendant due to our unsynchronization, we may rely on non-African people funding us and look at them as the saviors, if that makes any sense.
What we're saying is and it must always be stated that this is a punishment. This is not a collaboration. This is a punishment, not a collaboration. Also, today I was in another forum discussion, and there was a white gentleman there, and I think he was ever so slightly shocked. I saw he put on, about because I always start, and I recommend this. This is if you really want to know what I find the most effective, me personally, and I knew it would, is this: black people are collectively inadequate. Collectively, black people have no friends, and constructive black man, constructive black woman, constructive black family. Those three quotes I start every time I enter any space, right? Because it resets the room. It resets.
That's right. Codification.
Yeah. And then what happens every time something happens? So usually a European will say, "Oh, well, collectively black people have no friends." What do you mean by that? Like, and then you have to break down, like, well, I tell you what. Let's say that you are the greatest person in the world to black people. You are greater than everyone of all time. You do not represent the collection of your group. And then they go, but if I want to help, I go, unfortunately, because we're collectively inadequate and we specialize in subservience, our solution has to come within. So we have to work on ourselves, right? But if you truly want to help, what you could do is go and start a white institution dedicated to paying reparations and dismantling white supremacy. And then what they go, oh, no,
you're serious.
They won't. I don't want to do. All I want to do is come into your clubs while you're talking about Black Betterment. I don't want to do any kind of real work or anything.
Exactly.
The reason why you have to do that is because, unfortunately, at that point, many black people will be fighting for the right for white to come into clubs, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're going, I want to use this as a case study, and for the 15 years I've been doing this, I have never got one white person to agree to create an institution to dismantle racism or to pay reparations.
And you never will. You never will.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is,
serious.
Use
That's
that
right.
as your but not to worry. If you truly want to help black people, here's the message.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
let black people know that here's what's happening, right? Many non-black people want to lead over black people, right? So even though you try to give them direction, they don't want to take it. They want to be there when you do what you're doing, and they want to have the illusion of inclusion kind of concept, whatever's going on, right?
Yeah.
So these are the tools I use, and like I said, usually it just resets the era I'm in. It makes everyone refocus, and it gets them back to. And also, what the hardest thing that black people might be able to do is take an insult from a black person and not give it back, and it's very difficult for many people. It's something that you might want to train, because when you go into some of these open spaces, sometimes someone will make fun of you because you're so on point with what you're saying that it's the only way to break that. It's if
that's right. Yes.
Right, then he's
the only way.
Yeah, right. So you can't do it. And what you have to do is go, hold on, brother or sister. You know, let me just help black people, and then you can say what you want to say, right?
Yeah.
So,
Very true.
Also,
yeah.
I'm telling you. Also, what you want to do is go, I'm here for black people collectively. Are you here for the same, right?
Yeah.
And then you go, well, look, give me the words I need to say to make you feel better. And then you must always break things down, like family. We have a person who doesn't feel good, and I'm willing to dedicate time to make him feel good. So let us so speak what you want to say to feel good. Yeah. So you have to, and then another thing that I'll recommend as well is breaking down black people into two types. Yeah. And I think I wrote it down last week, but I haven't got it here. And it's the action type, and I guess the non-action type, whatever it is. But there's particular words we'll use. I'll find it, right. And what you're saying is, because when you say black people are collectively inadequate, you're going to get a stream of people saying, but that isn't uplifting. And then you say, aha. But what we're doing is we understand that there's a warrior class, right? And we know that when we say there is a problem, that warrior class will spring up. But if that warrior class is not aware there's a problem, they won't spring up. You see?
Right.
But when we say black people are collectively inadequate, the warrior class go, what? What do we need to do?
That's right.
But if black people generally believe that everyone likes us, we're economically doing good, there is no racism, there was no history of anything in the past, whatever, right? They will go and they will do the norm. And what the norm is supporting non-black institutions and marrying into non-black communities. That's
right. That's right.
So you need to have direction to say that, right? And that's what I find. That's how I navigate. I find it very, very useful. Very useful. Family, I've put a link in the group. Feel free, it's now been pinned. So if you were to jump in. If you have any questions about what we're saying, please do. The homework we're going to set this week is if a non-black person practices anti-black racism towards black people, what should be the list of things they need to do before they can be seen as, I don't want to use the term forgiven, I have to see if I can Google a word, but there must be a word that you would use to represent where we're okay with them at this point, or we're no longer concerned about what the last sin or last action was. So I have to think of that word, right? But definitely we give thanks to Brother Kel and Brother IC3 who come and give us the information and give us reports of how they've been when they've gone around trying to talk about forms of black betterment, because it's all very important, very all important indeed.
Yeah, as I said, Brother Raven, the task must be under a punishment, because we are very subservient, man, as you always say. We'll make any excuses to get out of our liberation, and these types of tasks needs to be written down. So how do we?
Can you run me by the punishment concept again, please? What do you mean by the punishment and how it works?
So just like with Brother Ivy, who did the basketball thing, in order for him to get his job back, he had to pay a fine.
Oh yes, that's right. From next week, last week we took right.
That is I believe that is the. Is that what you mean, Brother Kel?
I do, yeah, most definitely. some form of community service, but in the form of a punishment that will acknowledge to the non-Africans that if you keep doing that, it's going to happen. I also propose, Brother Raven, is one I notice with non-African people, they cannot handle when they're told continuously that you are unethical part of the code of conduct. The reason why it works, Brother Raven, as you know, because their community doesn't pull them up on their unethical code of conduct, it can be quite annoying that they hear it all the time.
Yeah.
When you're not used to hearing something and in that routine, it can throw you off guard.
Right.
Your whole mindset, your whole emotional state, your whole faculty. So that alone is very powerful. You know, you're practicing unethical code of conduct. Because their community, if their community were to do that, then you say to them, I wouldn't need to, would I?
Exactly. Yes.
So I'm only doing what your community is supposed to be doing to help you.
Exactly.
Unethical code of conduct.
Very good. Very good.
Things like that, Brother Raven. Yeah.
I also think announcing that you want to treat a conversation or interaction as a case study is very important, because I think it's quite powerful to be able to break a conversation and go, what's happening here is this, or I suspect what happened here is this, right? And
Yeah.
What I mean by that is like an example of that is today there was a European white gentleman, and he was asked many particular questions, and because he spoke for very long on each so-called response, he didn't actually answer the question.
Right.
So what I would tend to do is I go, the reason why it's probably best not to unify with non-black people when when we're trying to achieve something, because unfortunately many don't give us straight answers, and that's not useful. And let us see if that happens today. So they go, excuse me, sir, what's your views on reparations? Or whatever that is, right? Or should black people receive reparations for the crimes committed against us, right? And then you just wait, and then at the end of it, is that yes or no? And you go, I hope you have seen that I've asked consistently, but I have yet to receive a yes or no. Is this helpful to black people? Because if this is one non-black person in a meeting, can you imagine 10? Yeah, it'll be exactly the same thing, right? Or just 10 times more, right? So that what I do is I try to turn things into a case study, if possible.
Right. Strategic thinking.
Strategic
use of words. Social engineering.
And remember that word collective. Like, I'm here to help black people collectively, right? And then one thing you have to tackle as well, unfortunately, and I focus more so on men, because I have a very particular role I think men should be in the community, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think I definitely want to focus on the emotional man, and how I deal with managing my own emotions is I know I'm not there as a me, I'm there as a we. So if I'm complaining about a me, there's a problem, or an I, and you tend to people go, I feel you insulted me by saying that, you know what I mean? And it's the me. So you break down, look, let me know what I can say. Give me compliments to read to you that will make you feel good. Yeah. Let me know what you want me to say to make you feel good, and really highlight where this conversation is now going. This conversation is no longer about black people bettering. It's about your feelings in this conversation about ideas.
That's right. So if you want to focus the whole conversation on your feelings, then okay, we'll go along with that.
We can go there. But now I want you to tell me, tell me what you want me to say. Should I say that you have nice jeans? Should I say your jeans are very nice and very, and very blue? It's like this is because what you're doing, because what tends to happen is a lot. This is what I notice a lot. I listen to a lot of these forums that's on the internet, and one person will come in and he'll be completely unsynchronized, or should be unsynchronized. She'll say one or two words, and then it becomes a feeling fest. That's called a feeling.
Yes,
fest.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And then what happens is it's like 1 hour of how people feel, isn't it? So when you go in there, when they do that and it's towards you, you have the power to try to control that so it doesn't become that way. So you literally give the power to the person that they want. It's like, okay, you want attention, I'll give you that attention. Yeah. But after
how would you like it served?
Yeah, how would you like it served? But can we agree that once we give you the attention you desire, can collectively help
Get
black
back.
people. Yeah.
Can we get back to the topic?
Yeah, of helping black people.
Also, Brother Raven, if we're gonna deal with the unsynchronized Africans, then we must also African men. We must also deal with the unsynchronized African females. I propose that when you're dialoguing with the females, do not mention you are being emotional or too sensitive.
No, I agree.
These two words are very detrimental. Rather,
Right.
you should say you are using bad political science against the collective, and do not focus on the fog which the unsynchronized female male use. Focus on the what is behind it, the topic, what you're trying to lead them towards, which is synchronization. Even if they throw this, throw that, it's very important as a man, as a synchronized man and a synchronized female, that you do not get lured into the fog. Concentrate on the goal. Imagine you're in the dark and there's a fog, but you can see a green light. Look at the green light all the time, even though the fog looks so mysterious, eerie. No, focus on the green light when you're dealing with unsynchronized females, because as I said, you're too emotional, you're being sensitive, you'll throw off, and you'll be at the bottomless pit. So very mindful and use excellent political science.
I'd like to welcome Sister Sanko for rising to the forum. Welcome, sister.
Greetings.
Welcome.
Big up, sis. Big up.
Wake up, everyone. Rise up, everyone. You might hear my son coughing his lungs out. Bless him.
I hope he gets well.
Yeah. He's better than he sounds.
Oh, good. That's I guess that's good. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
So today we're focusing on how best to promote Black love within the community. We're talking about strategies of what things to use, or word language, or talking tactics that we could use to promote the concept of Black love. We also highlighted anti-Blackness in the Americas. This was motivated because I don't know if you're aware. I saw in one report that in America they're saying for brown-skinned people to not go to Dominican Republic because you might be seen as a Haitian and you might be mistreated. So we cover the history of that. And then what should anti-Black racists need to do to apologize to Black people for practicing racism? Oh yeah, what that is basically there was a basketball player who posted some a Hebrew DVD that they called anti-Semitic, and they had a list of things he had to do to apologize. Recently, an NFL guy was practicing racism in the past. So the question we're asking is, what should anti-Black racist people do or white supremacists do once they practice it openly to be forgiven or to be allowed to be whatever? I don't know. What should be done? Like what is the list? What is our list of needs? So that was what today's kind of show was roughly about. Take a view.
Okay.
And obviously your opinion matters. We definitely love the sisters' opinions, and you definitely have whenever you want to say something, it's just the mic is yours.
I'm still gonna sit back and listen a bit. I only came in on I heard some relationship conversation going on, so I was like, "Oh, what's this? What's going on here?"
Well, yeah, well, we'll go back on that night. So Raquel, what we were saying, we were using the term racial whitening. So, and the reason why we use racial term whitening is because we watched a documentary, and the documentary was done by some Black sisters. I think they were hosting it anyway. Did a really good job. I don't know if you guys saw it, but let me click
But
this one.
Just to give sentences on each one, within in terms of what what white organizations how they should pay for things, I think that's a slippery slope. But I also don't think it's going to happen anyway, because it just opens.
No, so when you say good stuff, that's back and forth because you said a good point there. And I think Robert Kill might have brought this up similar. The concerns of non-Black people giving money. So you two angles: them giving money and them not giving money. So let's tackle them giving money, right? If they've practiced anti-Black racism, the money they're giving is like a punishment for the crime they've done, right? It isn't like a charity or a well done or I'm a good person. It's like you've committed a crime.
No, that makes perfect sense. And right now in this time, that's exactly what is going to be said it is, and that's what they're, that's the PR around it. But the point I'm making though is that the likelihood of that happening is not going to happen.
Oh, good. And I'm glad you said that. And this is what
there will be no end.
Oh, I agree. No, let me not say I agree. Let me say this, right? I say reparations, protesting for reparations, and the reaction to that, and people committing a crime and us demanding payment for that, is what should be used to promote black love. And what do you mean? How does that mean? What do you mean? How did you end up there? I'll explain. So basically, what we're trying to create case studies to demonstrate that collectively black people have no friends, right? That's a statement. But how can we justify that statement with actions and evidence? Well, we have people who are openly practicing racism against us, but refuse to do anything to better after the practice, right? But also, we realize that every single nation has received reparations for lesser crimes, but the most devious, devilish crimes that has been committed, there's been no reparations, right? So we're using it as, this is why you should not practice racial whitening. This is why you shouldn't practice that. Also, racial whitening was created to destroy your economics and your family. You see, and then we can give case studies of which is this.
It's a very convenient. It's not
to whiten who American. This is a story about Latin America's long and brutal history of erasing and silencing black populations and its ploy to whiten society. Here's the thing. Anti-blackness is so deeply ingrained in the Latin American region that it's often ignored or defended. Like in the case of Dominican baseball player Sammy Sosa, who downplayed using a bleaching cream that whitened his skin. From Peruvian newspapers using 109 different racist adjectives to describe African-descended people, to terms of endearment like mi negrita, which actually stem from the idea of people as property, to blackface, used as a form of entertainment. It's all part of a slew of everyday racism. There is plenty of evidence showing that racism is rampant in Latin America, but many Latin Americans have evaded accountability by treating racism as solely a U.S. problem. Unlike the U.S., where racism was upheld by legal separation like Jim Crow laws,
you're not a Texan if you're not for segregation.
Countries including Colombia, Mexico, and Brazil encouraged the mixing of different racial types, known in Spanish as mestizaje. As a result, this ideology of mixing has been used for centuries to deny the presence of Black and Indigenous people throughout the region.
This idea that everyone is mixed also has been completely overblown because Latin America is not unique in its mixedness, but that has been the mantle that it has taken upon itself so that you can evade accountability. How can we be racist if we're all mixed? Well, you certainly found very many ways to be.
Meet Harris Machado. She's Panamanian American and the producer of Negro, a docuseries about Latino identity.
We all know those sayings. You're treating me like a Black person. Trabajar como un negro, working like a Black person. Don't marry a Black person. Come on. Be serious again. And everybody knows.
So all this stuff we should be collating as content and data to promote, to say that racial whitening is a tool or weapon used to undermine Black life and Black economics. And this is. And we can use the further case study. Today, we notice that when Black men get rich and famous, unfortunately, they're more likely to practice racial whitening. Right? So this is the tools. And then, like, what I was saying as well is with the whole biracial, this kind of stuff, rather than focusing on the child, the offspring, because a lot of Black men, what they would tend to do is they go, oh, well, I'm producing a Black baby no matter who I'm with, right? This is very problematic for Black community. So rather than focus on that and causing issues with the offspring, go, you have one task to make a constructive Black family. And if you pick a Japanese woman, you failed that task. Before you even have kids, you failed that task, because in order to have a Black family, every member has to be a Black person, right? So once your wife isn't Black, this is a problem. And it makes it further harder that you let them know that your first business partner is a black woman, and we're going to be collating every single person to buy your products or to do things for you. And if you die before your wife or and she inherits your stuff, that means we're not practicing black economics now, because a non-black person that has control over your resources.
Sir,
I was gonna say to sister and Sankofa, the reason why it's a brilliant idea with the punishment, which will work when it comes to them paying the penalty. Three things: white supremacy or unethical code of conduct that was a practice. Respect is economics and loss of life and status. And we're on the YouTube now. The fact that non-African people, their community, do not tell them that collectively we are practicing unethical code of conduct with the mannerism, the face expression, the body language, etc. That's not told them all the time. So whenever a political or politicized African descendant pulls them up on it, it can be quite annoying for them. So the fact that they're on these channels, okay, you're practicing an unethical code of conduct. We're going to give your name to other YouTube black pro channels that you go on, and then you're going to be ostracized and cast away. That is very what's the word? It can be quite suffocating for non-African people because they practice unethical code of conduct under stealth. We're not supposed to know they're practicing it. So the fact that you've highlighted it and everyone knows, and the fact that they try to separate from the race which is in control, which they're part of, right? They can never get out of it. It's checkmate all the time. So we can use the money thing. Well, unless you want to come back on that panel, you know, your name will be written down. You've got one warning. The next time, your name's going around channels that you go on, so you have to pay this as a penalty, and then we can use that money to sort that. As what Brother Raver was saying, personally, a punishment is a punishment, but unless it's used to our people that they're paying for a punishment, it could make us look at them as the savior. But I do trust and understand where Brother Raven's coming from if we tackle it in this political way.
Well, yeah, and the reason, before you jump into Sankofa, one thing I was hearing as well, and it's from certain people in the community where they say like, "Oh, I don't want reparations because it's begging," and we got to understand is reparations is what is owed. It's like it's
right.
Begging, you owe it, yeah, for the crimes you've done.
That's right.
Yeah? Most nations like England received reparations after war, right? Yeah, because it was an unjust war according to the English against the Nazis, whatever. So yeah, that, you know, and I think once again highlighting that, well, two things: highlighting that we're the only collective group that haven't received reparations, but two, let's use that as a way to practice black love. Like, you can say, okay, well, look, non-black person, you want to marry me, and I maybe I can agree to that. But before I agree to that, can you go and start institutions dedicated to pay reparations?
Yeah, that's right.
So my love is that's the scale of my love. If you can go
that's
away,
right.
See, and this is what you realize that
serious.
Yeah, realize that actually your love isn't worth that really. And this is the thing. Like try to set up those scenarios. And one other thing I would recommend as well, like we said before you guys jumped on, if you're talking to a brother and they're arguing about why they shouldn't be with a black woman, you just say the only thing you need to tell me is I'm a black man and I don't want a black family. If you say that, you're free. I'm not, because you know it's like I think in certain cultures you just have to say I'm free from you and you're divorced or something. I can't remember what the thing was, but let us know where you stand, because right now we assume that you want to make a black family. But after confessing what you are and what you don't want, that's fine.
Yeah, you opted out.
Oh yeah. Also, before I jump in, and this is more to men, I think it might be necessary to create a culture of in a digital space challenging black men who do not promote black love, who promote the opposite. And what I mean by that is, if someone does something and then, you know, I see it many times, a black man will jump on and say, well, you know, I can't be with a black woman for this reason, or blah, blah, blah. And they make a video on YouTube or something and go, you can't be with black women because they're too much like this, too much like that. I recommend that black men collectively challenge that, yeah? And in that, have them say, I'm a black man and I don't be a black woman. Let them say those words. Yeah, let's create a concept. That's what we're doing. Because I think it might be necessary for black men to lead the Black Love campaign, like literally, like lead it.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with anything you're saying. Definitely not. Reparations in many, many different ways. Absolutely. You know, Kwame Ture says power to the people, basically. So it's the education that gets to that, because essentially it's about building a movement that is able to gain that power. So, and to build that overstanding and have that education and that political scientific knowledge that Kel consistently, all of you are always breaking down for us. So yeah, it's education, and building where we're at this moment, institutions and programs like this to develop that reasoning, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely with black men leading the charge. Sisters have their work to do as well. Let's not get it twisted. But
you have to define that. So you have to define, because what I'm looking to do. So I'm literally to make it as straightforward as possible. Like when people do this, we do that, right? Like even like so like posting black places posting non-black women's beauty stuff, and then having thousands of black men giving fire symbols. Can't really have that. Yeah, that needs to be pulled up. Like if you're gonna put imagery of women in a tasteful way, that is, then make sure they're all sisters, right? Like we got to pull it up. It's like it has to be a thing. It has to be a campaign. You have to be synchronized with this concept, this idea, right? And once again, the reason why I've got this stuff on the screen is very important. Historically, black people had low self-esteem. So what was happening was we would say things like your kings and queens, or in the past there were black emperors and black empresses, this kind of stuff, right? And the reason why that was important is because, first of all, black people had low self-esteem, but generally the majority of black people had no idea that this truth existed, right? So that was a very good strategy to lift black people up. And talk about Black Wall Street, this kind of stuff, right? However, I think unfortunately now, because that information is now more widespread, what tends to happen is black people think, well, it's been done, we know it. There's, everything's so good, kumbaya, right? So you need words to let them know we're actually still in the deep end, right? But you want it to be as constructive as possible. And I find what I find when I debate any mass people, especially not necessarily when I'm around woke, synchronized black people, right? I'm talking about when you're in the masses and there's tons of black people of different kind of variant understandings. I go, hi, my name's Raven, Brother Raven. I'm a black betterer. That means I practice black people, helping black people and black issues whenever it's constructively possible. And I start every debate with these three starting statements. Black people are collectively inadequate. Collectively, black people have no friends. And constructive black man with constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. I tell you, once I do that, the conversation goes, there's a bit of who and hurry, but the conversation goes easily where we need it to go, because it gets rid of so much static and myths that people might say.
Yeah,
it just gets rid of it. And it's one of the most efficient lines that I think I use when it comes to debating big groups of black people or digital groups of Clubhouse or Speakers Corner, whatever it might be. These three quotes are so important. And I usually say things, by the way, there's two shocking statements and there's one uplifting statement. And then I read out the first two, and then I do. And then what will happen is they'll try to break it down, and they'll say things like, don't you think that your first statement is going to demote black people, right? And you say, no. Actually, what I've worked out is there's two types of black people. There's the black person who rises once they know there's a challenge, and there's the black person who crumbles when there's a challenge. When you say that, each person then puts himself in a category. Are they going to crumble from this truth, or are they going to rise? You see, this is the psychology that I'm saying, that you have to play chess with black people, right? You have to always be one step ahead. You can't go in there and go, I wonder what's going to happen next. You have to pre-program before you go in. Yeah, you have to have all the answers and all the answers to the answers, right? And this, for me, is the perfect template to start that. Because if at the end of the conversation someone goes, you know what, we're not doing too good, you know, then we can go, okay, so what is to be done about it? And then, you go, well, actually, I practice a lifestyle known as Black Betterment. What's that? Well, Black people help Black people when it's constructively possible. And then you can go a bit deeper about Black economics, Black love, you know, Black ownership, right? And how these things work. And then you can start talking about, well, did you know that there's this thing called racial whitening? And what's that? Well, basically, because Black people were so despised and so hated in every single form, what happened is they were saying, why don't we get the lower class white people to breed with them and then have their offspring breed with more lower class white people, then breed with other lower class white people. So eventually, Black people don't exist. But not only will they not exist, if ever they want reparations, yeah, let's give it to them. So, and then you can pour examples to Australia, where at the moment they've got a plan to give only Aborigines work because of discrimination, but the only ones getting it is the blonde hair, blue white Aborigines. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You go, oh, this is racial whitening. And I go, who invented racial whitening? Well, actually Brazil and Australia, and they're doing it really well. You see? And then you go, by the way, what we should find if racial whitening is successful is the more rich a Black person gets, the more likely they're going to not marry a Black person. And we go, well, do we see that in the Americas and the Englands and the Canadas? Oh, we see that. Oh, my days. So you tell me the weapon that they did all those years ago is very successful. Yeah, so does that mean that Black people are collectively inadequate? Of course, yes. What is to be done about it? Black Betterment. What is Black Betterment? Black people helping Black people on Black issues. But what if I wanted my my non-Black friend to join in? But remember, collectively, Black people have no friends. No, but he's good. But ask him, what's his stance on reparations, and also would he be willing to create an institution dedicated to paying Black people reparations and also dismantling white supremacy? He doesn't want to do that. Oh, then it's probably best he doesn't, you know, join any other Black reparative stuff than should he? That's how you should. That's how I arrange things, anyway.
Yes, chess. Playing chess.
It's chess. Yeah, it's chess. And sometimes when I'm around Black people, I always assume they understand these techniques. But as I'm moving through these spaces, I realize not that many Black people, unfortunately, I'm around are playing psychological chess. And that's why I say, if ever you're in a group and we're saying I and me, this is a recipe for disaster. Yeah, we should be in there saying we should be saying we and the collective. Yeah, and when someone makes fun of you, go, that's fine. I'm here to represent Black people collectively, right? So you know you can carry on cussing me afterwards. Let me just promote Black unity, and then you can carry on. You see, you always take it back to I'm here for the collective. Are you here for yourself? Okay. One of the challenges is we're collectively inadequate. So being for yourself might be a contributing factor. Were you the person who said that we're not collectively inadequate? Is that adequate behavior you're doing? But I'm here to help Black people, and you're making fun of me for doing this. Is that how Black people progress? Always highlight that and go, like I said, Black people collectively inadequate. And then when a non-Black person comes in and everyone tries to defend that person so they can join, go, Black people collectively inadequate. And then when you ask them a question, what's your views on reparations, or would you join this thing? And they say, and they don't give an answer, you say, oh, collectively Black people have no friends. Is that similar? So you have these three starting points that you keep going. And obviously the final one is the most important. Constructive Black man with constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family. You see? I'm telling you, this is almost like a sign from somewhere, because it's very effective. But what you have to do as a Black person, you have to realize you're playing psychological chess, but also you have to brush aside your pride, right? And what I mean by that is, do not view Black people being in a low position as the be or end all. Imagine that we're in a league, like a football league, a basketball league, this kind of thing, right? And unfortunately, Black people are at the bottom while everyone else is above us, right? So what we're saying is we've only got maybe 10 more games. So the idea is to finish higher than we are today, right? But then not to get relegated. Not to get relegated. So next season we can win. But what we mean by next season is teach the youth to be better than we are. You see? So when they start that new season, they have a chance of winning, because we're so much at the bottom that for us to win the league might be very challenging now, but the very least we cannot get relegated. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, everything, I'm a believer that everyone has their role,
of course,
and how they execute that. So for me, my work is with the sisters and children, young people. So that's why I created Sankofa Rising in terms of sister circles and such things. So, and they're intergenerational, and but I also have something specific for the young people, and it's a form of helping us understand who we are in this time and incorporating every single thing you said, but also going through our healing process, understanding who we are, and then understanding our purpose in the work, if that makes sense, but all simultaneously. Because with women, how white supremacy impacts us is somewhat different to how it is impacting our brothers. It's the same, but it's different, and it's spoken about differently. So sisters, we've been conditioned to look at ourselves in the world in a different way, and I have to do that work. I don't know if that makes sense.
Can you expand on that? That sounds really interesting. How do you mean look at the world in a different way? How does that work?
Well, in terms of Black love anyway, my work is for us sisters to rehumanize our brothers. So a lot of us don't realize that we have, when our boy children get to a certain age, we don't realize we're conditioned to then dehumanize men to a certain degree. And I say that to say, like, a little while ago, there was a meme, a little video going around of TD Jakes or something, some pastor brother in America. And he was saying that, talking about brothers and having emotion and how men express their emotion. And the amount of sisters that was commenting, in terms of questioning Black men's emotions and how men show their emotions and the lack of emotions that Black men share and how cold Black men can be. And I'm like, wow. And I hear it in a personal level. And some of these sisters, it's not intentional, It's not intentional. But if we understand the tool of feminism and how that has seeped into our spaces, into certain level of like-mind spaces, and certain sisters, we're not conscious of what we're bringing, what energy and mindset we're not working on when we're interacting with our brothers, and how we're manifesting conditioned ideas, Eurocentric ways of being in relationship into what we're trying to create within African-centered relationships. The two can't work, and we can't be surface with it either. Do you understand? It's not decorative. It's not just how we look, and food is important, but food and the yoga and them thing, they're like, and crystal and incense. We have to dig a little deeper. Do you understand? And look at our ways of being in relationship. Look at our character. Look at our men holistically and humanize them. They have the same emotions that we have. Do you understand? Reconnect with, especially if we're mothers to boy children, reconnect ourselves to our boy children as they grew up into men, and understand that same man is the man that you laid down with. It's not your son specifically, but he is going to be that for somebody else. It's a cycle. Do you understand? And what our role is in that cycle. So, we have a distorted way of how we see ourselves and how we see Black men. And we definitely need to bring some more balance in humanity and how we see them. Definitely.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is something where at a certain point we are saying that men help men and women help women from a certain standpoint, because it might be easier and it, we definitely want to break down no kind of intergender war kind of stuff, whatever. Although men and women will be talking, but it's like I think one in the Black Love thing. One of the biggest tragedies I'm witnessing is the dynamic of a black woman who really wants to have a black family with a black man, but can't really express that in a sense of because she's aware that it maybe in a particular circle, a lot of the black men are so universal lovers that it's like she has to kind of justify why she wants to be with a black person, while the black man is really on that kind of like love has no color, And I think that's another thing. We need to give our women the tools who don't have it at the moment to tackle that the black man who's talking about love has no color, this kind of thing. We need to give them tools that say like what about economics? What about like what about a black family? Like, do you want a black family? Like, give them something to say, something to react, right? And also like, well, are you doing any Are you make any institutions for black people with your white family? I remember, funny enough, I was on a panel and I didn't bring them up at the time, right? This was a couple months back, and they're talking about a gentleman who was one of the first politicians. No doubt I have a picture of him because I have every single one. So let me see if I can find the photo. Where is it? So I should know people's name by head, but because I don't, shame on me. So this is good. This is some good stuff. I was using this football stuff the other day. Very good. It's very good to be able to see all this stuff when you're talking because that's another thing. I'll have to make these things in different formats so you guys can use it and stuff. But when you talk about when you say like, oh, did you know in football that's at the moment, only 7 of the people who've ever played for England in 30 years have a black wife. However, 39 so far haven't have white wives, right? But where's the politician? Let's see if I can find that gentleman.
I will say this though, we're living in a time that challenging black men on them things is normal.
When you say normal, what do you mean? What do you mean?
In these social media streets, black women ain't got no problem challenging black men about, he's saying this, but he's doing that. Even though I say that to say, the biggest shocker for me is Kanye conversation.
What's happening? What's happening in that one?
No, just that, I don't know, conversation around all things can be true at the same time. Let's first say that, in terms of being attacked as a black man, and him still wanting the white man's money and this and that.
Of course.
My main thing, though, at the same time, when I'm hearing the conversation of who he's representing, I'm like, are we forgetting that this man was married to Kim Kardashian for a decade?
Right.
Are we all right? What? I'm confused. I'm a little bit, and the fact that it's not a conversation, I'm like, And he said he wants his wife back, So I'm like,
and that's the thing. It's like I think with black men, and this is the thing. Unfortunately, I think the whole black love thing has been skipped over in the kind of Disney way, where it's like, it's no longer necessary to have a black family. It's no longer necessary to have a black wife.
See, I wouldn't say the Disney way though. That's where it's looking a bit more sinister. If it's a Disney way, black love is a villain situation right now. It's to be, and the on the ground, it's not reflecting that, but the promotion of it, because we're fighting ideas and propaganda at the end of the day.
Right.
that element is definitely, black men openly saying, yeah, well, that's why we're not getting with you sisters. Like, there's reams and reams of videos of it. Everyone's a new Kevin Samuel today. So it's and then the sisters, just reams and reams of complaints of the black man. So that's what's being pumped. And I'm saying it's loud because the 17 pluses I'm speaking to in terms of young women, their conversation isn't the same as in terms of the black woman is this, but it's filtered down to them that young black men are not respecting black women.
I'll be honest with you, Sister Sonkova. The only way for us to be around each other, I've said this before many times. I've said it to my family, as it pertains to when they're around other African descendants. You cannot be around black people as a whole without a code of conduct. It's not going to work out. I've analyzed it. I've experienced from elders, parents doing activism. I've noticed religion, anything does not keep us together. You cannot be around each other unless you have a solid code of conduct. That is the bottom line, man. There's no way out. They can debate and tell you that the religion, it's never going to work out. You need a code to be around black people, you know.
Yeah,
you really do. You have to have a social strategy and a code. You definitely do. The gentleman's name is Bernie Grant, obviously famous Bernie Grant. But I think the argument used was he did a lot for black people and he married a black woman. A white woman. Sorry, and I think Susie Grant or something, Sharon Grant. Sorry, and I think what the gentleman was trying to give an example that she's now got this kind of thing going on and she's hired all these black people. And I was like, so she's in charge and she's hired them. She goes, yeah, I go, okay. So you're seeing the issue now that she's the sole controller of that scenario where that could have been a black woman, right? So, like having black people see, because it happens a lot. Like someone tries to demonstrate why something is really good for black people, but it's actually the opposite. Do you see what I'm saying? And how do we articulate that in a constructive way is the key. You see, it's very important.
Well, no, like I said, there's nothing I'm disagreeing here. I'm just saying that some of the popular narrative, but like I said, it's just about pumping and promoting our own media and just finding different spaces to continuously educate. We've said code of conduct, so I don't know if Betterment needs to start study groups or things like that.
Well, yeah. And what I'm going to do now is I'm moving into the what do you call it, the clubhouse space. I've set up a group, but I haven't promoted anything yet. But through there, what I do when I talk is I let people know that if there's any constructive black person in this forum that wants to help black people, if so, follow me here and come to the show, blah blah blah. And that's what I'll be doing moving forward, like trying to get certain key people to, because that's what it's about. And also, when someone complains nonstop, which is good, as in when someone goes, well, I can't date black men because my 2 black boyfriends cheat on me and my white boyfriend bought me chocolates at night and this kind of stuff. So okay, that's fine. Would you be willing to work with me to educate and train black men to be more better for black women? Would you be willing to do that? And they'll probably say no. Whatever. They'll say no. So what I'm saying is always ask these questions like, okay, I understand then you should do what you do, but are you willing to be a part of the change? So because what we're highlighting is you've highlighted a whole lot of challenges and then you've said bye, you see? And it's like, okay, so what you're saying is the process you're doing the process we should do? Should all black people then start marrying non-black people? Is that the solution? So if it's not a solution, then clearly we need to work on a solution, right? Now also, when you try to promote black love, what's going to happen is they're going to say, hold on, in the UK, 80% of black men marry black women. So, what's the issue? Like, that's a high number. And you can say that's very true. However, we're going by when you compare it to other data, meaning when you compare it to the Asian man, the white man, the yellow man, the green man, all this kind of whatever. When you compare it to all these things, black men are exceedingly high, especially unfortunately in the Caribbean community, whereas last time it was 50%, they say it might be up to 60, 70. Next time they check in a year or so, we have to really see. And obviously the adverts, I don't know if this represents what they're trying to achieve or what actually is. Also, that's another thing you guys have to be wary of. And so we're going to have to show it. The whole the product of a black man and a white woman and vice versa, as in now what's happening is our biracial people, black people, all this kind of stuff. We need to have a codified way of handling that. this is going to be the biggest anxiety fest that you'll probably face, and I handle it very different from maybe other people, and I think this is why for me Black Betterment is very handy because it makes this statement. The only reason to identify as black is to practice Black Betterment. You see, and also the whole synonym thing that this is synonymous with Black African or African with a K or any other way words that are out there, right?
I just say, I think that there, in terms of addressing the whole mixed race conversation, that there is brilliant. Dr. John Henrik Clarke said, mixed race people of mixed race, Africans of mixed heritage, is an African problem. It's not a European problem. And when we are able to solve that problem, it will strengthen us in the war. But it's an African problem. And to be able to just be as simple and clear as that, because that conversation is always a rabbit hole conversation. If you don't know what you're saying, that's brilliant. As a sentence all by itself, keeping it short and sweet, and that's it.
So I always look at it from this way, is that, as what Brother Raven says, if we categorize synchronized Africans and unsynchronized Africans, and synchronized Africans could be biracial Africans or none, and highlight the strategies and tactics that's been used against us. Biracial Africans have been used against synchronized Africans. See, if you let it this way, beloved, it doesn't restrict, but it also elaborates the collective of be careful of this, interracial relationship, as we know, miscegenation, etc. If we look at it from that way, that you're synchronized, whether you're biracial or not, due to you following Black Betterment and the principles, but you have to look out for this, then it removes the tension, because we put in a category that you're not just biracial, you're synchronized. Like you understand what I mean? But we have to label.
You're on a mission.
We have to label the things that has been detrimental, and you have to say the biracial was used, interracial relationship was used, permanent coalition with non-Africans was used. If we label all that, then we can definitely formulate a coalition with the biracial.
That's right.
Here's something to be aware of as well. A new movement.
But
go ahead, sister.
So I was saying, in terms of culture, again, in terms part of my work a little bit as well. When I'm working with small children, why Kwanzaa is important, just in terms of what Kel just said when we're talking about self-determination and defining and coding things, and we have to program the children with those principles from young. So again, I don't get into the politics of how Kwanzaa came about or whatever. What I do know is that in African nations, we have end of harvest celebration, and then principles are infinite. So we use those principles to instill that thinking, so they're ready for that training that we're talking about here. Do you get what I'm saying? So
well, I always say it's ideas over individuals when it comes to Black Betterment. So there's going to be a Black man or a Black woman who comes up with a good idea, and in her past, this woman or man did horrible things, and they need to atone for that and correct that. However, if they say a good thing like Black man and Black woman make a good Black family, that's a good idea. That like, you can't then undermine that good idea because the man in the past was a prostitute or something, right? Used to run over dogs or something, right? So in regard, if Kwanzaa is a good idea, regardless of whatever happened, it's a good idea. Black holidays is a good idea. Right, reaching out is a good idea. That's another thing. But one other thing I want us to be aware of, sorry, family, is you'll see it now, especially on social media, the biracial identified person who will be aggressive or will be like, I'm half Black, I'm half white. I embrace both. I'm not Black, I'm not white, I'm both, and that makes sense. That's what they want to say. Okay, cool. What I'm saying is, be aware of that, of not. And what I tend to do is I tend to not label someone and say, you're black, you're white, you're biracial. I tend to say like, well, I practice black betterment, and here's a list of all the people who can practice it. And if that person, if any of these people have a kid with anyone who's not in there, that person, the offspring of that person can practice black betterment. However, if they then decide to go to a non-black person, they're practicing racial whitening, and we would then let them go free to do what they're doing, because now they've chosen that they want to create a lineage of taking economics out of the black community, and that's not what we support.
Yeah. Also, Raven, for those who have a problem with the, using the biracial card, we have a list of Europeans, Asians who had African ancestry, and they all went for the European and Asian betterment than the Africans. Mahatma Gandhi, known for having Ethiopian ancestry, we all know that his movement was for Asian people only. Ed J. Hoover, his mother was an African descendant, and we know how he felt about Garvey and the Black Panther movement. Thomas Jefferson, also the third president of America, he also had black ancestry, but he went for the European. Andrew Jackson, his mother was Irish, his father was black, went against African. Abraham Lincoln, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, and the list goes on.
Yes,
Obama.
yes.
So we can always use this as well. If you want to say I'm half and half, then we have examples of those who didn't say I'm half and half. They picked a side, which is a very proof against the biracial Africans, which I've always said is that they have the ability, the unsynchronized ones and the synchronized ones, if they want to play both sides, and they must pick a side. And there's no excuses. As I've made a list already, there are non-Africans who have African ancestry, and they understood which side they're going to be on.
I agree completely again.
Yeah. What I've also done is I've listed the black people's indigenous ethnic group. There's probably some I've missed out. There's quite a lot here. And what I usually do when people go, who's black, like who's African, or whatever, this kind of stuff, right? I just point here like, well, these are the people who are permitted to practice black betterment. I've got a list here, so I go, where are you located? Okay, West Africa. Okay, where are you? Are you Aku? Are you Abaka? Are you Bambara? Like, and then they go, okay, yeah, well, that people group, you're it's okay to practice black betterment with other black people. You qualify for what we're trying to do. Black betterment is black people having black issues, and you're part of that. There you go. So I try, and then I go, okay, if you have a biracial offspring, it says at the bottom, where that offspring, we can recognize and practice black betterment. However, if they then go to marrying further out, then they're not practicing black betterment, so we don't need to focus on that story anymore.
Yeah.
Also, what will happen as well, especially if you're from Caribbean background, what will happen is they'll say, well, hold on a minute. The Caribbean people, if you look at DNA, they have anywhere from 10 to 70% of European DNA here and there, and 10% of Asian, whatever it might be, and some of them are light skinned, some of them are dark skinned, some of them are red skinned, some of them are yellow skinned, all this kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the byproducts of multiracialism. They're not black people; they're multiracial people, whatever. And then there's a way I deal with that as well. I say that black betterment, black people, as we say, is a collection of a collection. So that collection of a collection working as one. So the Afro-Caribbean community, our ethnic group is diverse like that, right? There's different people, different phenotypes, and that's our ethnic group, right? Now, we understand that we have a history of trauma because of rape and this kind of stuff, right? And this is what we are. This doesn't make anyone more or less or anything. This is our ethnic group, and because we've been through many different challenges, we understand, well, the synchronized ones, understand the nature of the threat and how we can fix it. And what we're doing is we're coming back to the continent, because usually, 100% of the time, it will be a person it'll be an unsynchronized person from the continent who will make that, right? Mm-hmm. And also, one other thing I forget is very important, and I've written this down. When you're talking to someone, regardless, they're gonna say something, but try to understand why they're saying it, right? So, for example, what from my research and my kind of Columboing, when if you get a dark skinned person from the diaspora who says that, oh, I don't recognize Caribbean or light skin or lighter skinned Caribbeans as black or African because they've got this kind of mix and this kind of mix, right?
Yeah.
My research shows that actually what it comes down to is in many of their cultural groups or surroundings, they're made to feel ugly because they are black. So a dark skin, I should say, not black, but dark skin, sorry, right? So the issue there is to try to highlight black beauty and how much this is something that we desire and we want to promote when we get economic kind of institutions and stuff like that. But that's the goal, because there's a lot of motivation behind people doing things for that reason, rather than I just generally don't see Caribbean people or light skinned people, whatever, as black. It comes down to, you see what I'm saying, but understand the root of something happens. Yeah, that's what I would definitely recommend, because what happens is it then becomes an anxiety fest of Caribbean people being not best pleased with African people and back and forth. They argue about something that none of them really see true, right?
Yeah.
Also, one other thing I would say is it happens at certain parts of Africa, but certain parts of Africa, they go, why do you call us black? Why do you call us this? Why do you call it this kind of term? And we're not this, so we're not connected to your, we're Cushetic, your Bantu, your Nilotic, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
What I would recommend is going, here's what it is. This Black Betterment is a collection of a collection, and we're here to be constructive and progress the collective forward. That means it's an open door policy. If you don't wish to join, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But we're not going to penalize the synchronized people in your village or whatever from wanting to practice betterment with the wider community, right? So that's on you. If you don't wish to join us, that's fine, right? But we're not going to sabotage your entire nation because of your opinions, right? And then we move on. Big up Sanko. I think she's disconnected, but big up her contributions. But family, we have 3 minutes to 12. We had a very good talk amongst us four today. Any last things you'd like to say, family?
No, it's fantastic. I think lots to think about, and I do like the whole tone of a more technical, the kind of language, the kind of way you're looking forward is you're moving into all arenas with a codified way of approaching, with codified language, with presets. Yes, because it's so you're really representing order in the mid of a chaotic environment. You're bringing order and you're maintaining order, because that's how battles are won. If the other army is in chaos and your army is in order, a small group can destroy a huge lot. And that's how the white supremacists do it. They're just small, orderly, tight, and careful with their language. And they rule the whole of India, just a few of them. Rule the whole of Africa as well. Yeah, that's it. Good stuff. I love it.
Final words?
Yeah. The Honourable Marcus Garvey said, a race without authority is a race without respect. And we have to get this respect back with codification, using political science and gaining military science to protect the black woman, the black man and black family, and creating generational wealth. Big up Brother Raven, big up Alda. Once again, a great show.
Till next week, everyone. Black Betterment. Have a good one.